She stared at the invitation in disbelief. Her ex-boyfriend, the man who left her when she was pregnant and penniless, was getting married to a billionaire's daughter, and he wanted her there to witness his triumph, to see what she'd say. But Marcus Hamilton had no idea what was about to walk through those cathedral doors. Today, she's worth more than the bride's entire family. And those three children? They're about to expose a secret that will destroy more than just a wedding. Before we dive into this story, there are three things you need to know. Three questions that will keep you watching until the very end. The answers, they're more twisted than you can imagine. And by the end of this story, you'll understand why revenge isn't always about anger. Sometimes it's about timing. Cincinnati, Ohio, 2018. Elena Rodriguez was 28 years old, working double shifts as a nurse at County General Hospital. She wasn't wealthy. She didn't come from privilege. But she had something money couldn't buy: a heart that loved without conditions. Marcus Hamilton was 31. Charming, ambitious, the kind of man who wore confidence like a tailored suit, even though he couldn't afford one yet. He was working as a junior financial analyst, hungry to climb the corporate ladder. And Elena? She believed in him completely. They'd been together for 3 years, living in a cramped one-bedroom apartment, splitting bills, planning a future. Marcus always said, "When I make it big, Elena, we'll have everything." And she believed him. 2018. Elena discovered she was pregnant. Not just pregnant, carrying triplets. The odds? 1 in 10,000. She thought it was a miracle. Marcus thought it was a disaster. After she told him, Marcus was gone. No note, no explanation. Just a text message that said, "I'm not ready to be a father. Don't contact me again." Elena was 8 weeks pregnant, working 60-hour weeks, and suddenly, completely alone. What happened next could have destroyed her. Single, pregnant with triplets, no family support. Her parents had passed years earlier. Most women in Elena's position would have crumbled. But Elena Rodriguez wasn't most women. She worked until her 8th month, saved every penny. And then, on March 15th, 2019, she gave birth to 3 healthy boys: Daniel, Michael, and Christopher. Here's where the story gets interesting. Elena had a decision to make. She could stay in Cincinnati, struggle as a single mother of triplets, maybe go on welfare, work minimum wage jobs while her sons grew up in poverty, or she could take a risk that terrified her. 2 weeks after giving birth, Elena received a letter. An old college professor, Dr. Patricia Chen, had been following Elena's nursing career. Dr. Chen was launching a biotech startup in San Francisco and needed someone brilliant, dedicated, and hungry. She was offering Elena a position as head of clinical research. The catch? Elena would have to move across the country with 3 newborns. No friends, no support system, starting from scratch. But the salary? $180,000 a year, more money than Elena had ever dreamed of. She took the job. And for 2 years, Elena Rodriguez worked like her life depended on it, because it did. She hired a nanny, worked 14-hour days, published research papers, and she discovered something. Elena had a gift for identifying promising medical technologies before anyone else saw their potential. Hold on. Before we reveal how Elena went from nurse to millionaire, I need to know something. How many of you saw this twist coming? Drop a comment right now with your location. Let's see who's watching from where. I'm reading every single one. All right, back to the story. Because what happens next? It's the kind of twist that movies are made of. 2021. While Elena was building her empire in San Francisco, Marcus was climbing his own ladder in Cincinnati. He'd landed a position at a prestigious investment firm, started making real money, and that's when he met her. Victoria Ashford, 26 years old, daughter of billionaire real estate mogul Richard Ashford. She was everything Marcus had always wanted: money, status, connections, and she was completely in love with him. Marcus never told Victoria about Elena, never mentioned the triplets. As far as Victoria knew, Marcus had been focused on his career his whole life. No serious relationships, no baggage. December 2022. Marcus proposed to Victoria at a private island resort. The wedding was set for June 2023. Budget? $12 million. Guest list? 500 of Cincinnati's elite. But here's what Marcus didn't know. Elena had been following his life on social media, not obsessively, not with hatred, with curiosity. And when she saw the engagement announcement, something shifted. Because by this point, Elena had done something extraordinary. Remember that gift for identifying promising medical technologies? In 2020, Elena invested $50,000, her entire savings, into a small biotech company developing a breakthrough cancer treatment. Her colleagues thought she was insane. That company? It was acquired by Pfizer in 2022 for $2.3 billion. Elena's stake? It was worth $47 million. By the time Marcus Hamilton sent out his wedding invitations in April 2023, Elena Rodriguez was worth more than $50 million. And that's when she received it. The invitation. But here's the question that haunted her. How did Marcus even know her address? They hadn't spoken in 5 years. She'd moved to San Francisco, changed her phone number. How? The answer would reveal something dark, something calculated, something that would make Elena's decision very, very easy. Elena hired a private investigator. And what they discovered? It would change everything. Marcus had been tracking Elena for 6 months. He'd hired someone to find her, to learn about her life. And when he discovered she was still single, still struggling, or so he thought, he had an idea. See, Marcus had a problem. Victoria's father, Richard Ashford, was old-fashioned, traditional. He wanted to make sure Marcus was worthy. So Richard had his own investigators look into Marcus's past. And they found Elena. They found the pregnancy. They found the abandonment. Marcus panicked. So he came up with a plan, a cruel, calculated plan. He would invite Elena to the wedding, show Richard that they'd reconciled, that Marcus had tried to help her over the years, but she'd refused, that Elena was doing poorly, that Marcus was the victim, not her. Marcus told Victoria and her father that Elena was a troubled ex-girlfriend, that she'd struggled with addiction, that she'd given up the children for adoption because she couldn't care for them, that Marcus had offered to help, but she'd disappeared. He invited Elena to the wedding to prove his story. He assumed she'd show up looking defeated, probably wouldn't even come. And if she did, it would be the final humiliation, the ultimate proof that he'd made the right choice leaving her. Marcus Hamilton had no idea what was about to hit him. June 10th, 2023, the day of the wedding. Elena Rodriguez woke up in her San Francisco penthouse. She dressed her 3 sons, Daniel, Michael, and Christopher, now 4 years old, in matching designer suits. And then she made a phone call. She chartered a private jet, arranged for a Rolls-Royce Phantom to pick them up at the Cincinnati airport. And she did one more thing. She called Victoria Ashford directly. "Hello, Victoria. You don't know me, but my name is Elena Rodriguez. I believe you're marrying Marcus Hamilton today. I just wanted you to know I'll be attending with our 3 sons. I think there are some things you should know before you say I do. St. Peter's Cathedral, 3 p.m., 500 guests, orchestra playing, Victoria in a $200,000 Vera Wang gown. And then the doors opened. The entire church went silent. Marcus turned white. Victoria froze at the altar. Because walking down that aisle with 3 children who looked exactly like Marcus Hamilton was a woman who looked like she'd stepped off the cover of Forbes magazine. Elena walked right up to the altar. She looked at Marcus, then at Victoria. And she said the words that would end the wedding before it began. "Hello, Marcus. It's been 5 years. I thought Victoria should meet her stepchildren before she makes this commitment. Oh, and congratulations on your engagement. Though I should mention, I own 12% of Victoria's father's company. We're business partners now. Didn't Marcus tell you?" See, here's what Marcus never knew. When Elena made her millions, she didn't just buy expensive cars and clothes. She invested strategically. And one of her biggest investments? Ashford Real Estate Group. She'd approached Richard Ashford 6 months earlier with a business proposal. They'd been working together ever since. Richard Ashford had no idea Elena was Marcus's ex. She'd never mentioned it, never brought it up, until that moment, at the altar, in front of 500 guests. Victoria called off the wedding on the spot. Richard Ashford fired Marcus that evening. And the story? It went viral. Social media exploded. The humiliated groom who abandoned his pregnant girlfriend only to have her return as a multimillionaire businesswoman. The triplets he never knew had his eyes, his smile, his DNA. Today, Elena Rodriguez is worth over $80 million. She's remarried to a pediatric surgeon she met through her charity work. Daniel, Michael, and Christopher are 9 years old. They're honor students, they play soccer, they're happy. Marcus Hamilton? He left Cincinnati, moved to Atlanta. He's rebuilding his career. He pays child support, court-ordered. He sees his sons twice a month. Elena insisted on that, not for revenge, but because she believes every child deserves to know their father, even a flawed one. But here's what this story is really about. It's not about money. It's not even about revenge. It's about something deeper. When Marcus left Elena, he saw her as disposable, as less than. He bet on her failure. He assumed poverty and struggle would define her forever. And he was wrong. Not because Elena got rich, though she did, but because Elena refused to let his abandonment become her identity. See, the real twist in this story isn't the money or the wedding, it's this. Elena could have destroyed Marcus completely. She had the resources, the connections, the motivation. But she didn't. She let him face the natural consequences of his choices. She showed up, she told the truth, and then she walked away. Because the best revenge isn't destruction. It's living so well that you forget why you wanted revenge in the first place. So here's my question for you. Was Elena right to show up at that wedding? Or should she have stayed away? Was this justice? Or was it revenge? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'm reading every single one, and I want to know what you think. And here's the thing about this story. It's based on real events. The names are changed. Some details are adjusted for privacy. But somewhere out there, this really happened. Which means it could happen to anyone, including you. If this story got you hooked, wait until you hear about the woman who faked her own death to escape her billionaire husband, only to show up at his funeral and expose the empire of lies he built. That video is dropping next week. You're not going to want to miss it. Hit that like button if this story made you feel something. Subscribe if you want more real-life twists that'll keep you up at night. Share this with someone who needs to hear that rock bottom can become a launch pad. And remember, your story isn't over until you decide it is.